Hi, hey, and hello there. Obihan here, and today I thought, you know what? Dark Web is here, and there's a lot going on in this crazy story. So, let me give you a quick recap of what's happened. Firstly, it's important to know who the antagonists are in this story. They're both clones, one of which being Ben Riley, who was a clone of Peter Parker, and the other being Madeline Pryor, who's a clone of Jean Grey. Now, some background. As I said, Ben Riley is a clone of Peter Parker, who was created way back when Marvel thought that cloning Spider-Man multiple times and giving him an identity crisis was a good idea. Based on the reception from the fans, it clearly wasn't, and Marvel still hasn't learned that lesson yet apparently. Anyway, during the Clone Saga, Ben took over as Spider-Man for a while and eventually ended up sacrificing himself to save Peter. Fast forward like 20 years later, and Dan Slott decides to bring Ben Riley back for the Clone Conspiracy arc. The only thing is, due to being brought back to life and killed over and over again, like 27 times or something like that, Ben kinda got messed up in the head. He wanted to replace everyone with clones and tried to bring back Uncle Ben, and Peter was like, nah, we not having that, and beat him. Ben went on to take on the Scarlet Spider moniker once again, and was kind of a sketchy Spidey for a bit, at least until Spider-Geddon, in which he regained his morality basically. Now, fast forward and we get to a more recent storyline, which is the Spider-Man Beyond story, in which Ben once again took over as Spider-Man when Peter was hurt in an accident and hospitalized because his spider sense was attacking him. Whew, okay, yeah, all in a comic book, right? Anyway, Ben would serve as Spider-Man for a while, but of course, the Beyond Corporation that he was working for was shady, and whenever Ben got too close to figuring that out, they wiped his memory with this helmet. Eventually, they wiped the wrong memory, which was basically tied to a lot of Peter's morality, or the memories tied to Peter's morality, containing like Uncle Ben and things of that nature. So once those memories were taken from Ben, he was really in a bad spot. Fast forward a little bit, and Peter's back on his feet and teams up with Ben, only to have Ben turn on him because Ben was told by the corporation if Peter puts on this helmet, presumably the helmet that they had been using to take Ben's memories, then he would get his memories back. And Peter was kind of like, no, I don't think I will. And so Ben fought Peter, of course, and Peter breaks the helmet, causing Ben to basically give up and kind of seemingly kill himself. But we find out he survived and decided to take on the identity of Chasm in order to get revenge on Peter and get his memories back. Well, they're Peter's memories technically, but you get the point. Now for the tricky part. Madeline Pryor was a clone of Jean Grey created by Mrs. Sinister after Jean Grey was seemingly killed in the Phoenix Saga. See, Sinister is obsessed with genetics, and particularly obsessed with Scott and Jean Grey's genetics. So if they had like this kid or something, it would be really powerful and apparently powerful enough to take on Apocalypse, or at least that's what Mrs. Sinister thought. So that's why he needed Scott and Jean Grey to have a kid. Madeline was supposed to basically be like this substitute for Jean. However, when the real Jean came back, Madeline was kind of pushed to the side because you see Scott had been dating Madeline and then they got married, and then Scott was distant. But in the midst of Scott being distant, they had a kid, and then the real Jean Grey came back, and then Scott kind of dipped. You know what? Yeah, okay, I kind of see why Madeline has some beef with Jean and Scott. He kind of put her through a bit. And come to think of it, while I'm talking about Jean and Madeline, I gotta kind of bring up, I'm looking at Jean, and I'm looking at Madeline, and I'm looking at their pictures online and everything, and I'm like, Scott, did you make the right choice? You know what? I'm I'm being superficial. Clearly, Jean has some stuff that's good about her, but I'm just saying, man, Madeline with these outfits, Scott, you know what? I'm getting off track. Let's get back on track. Let's fast forward to right now. Madeline is basically the Goblin Queen now, and she's residing in Limbo. She drew Ben Riley to Limbo, where they allied themselves and began to formulate a plan. She granted Ben's girlfriend Janine the powers of a demon. And after that, Janine was called Hallows Eve. And basically, that's pretty much what you need to know going into Dark Web. This is basically the antagonistic forces that are kicking everything into action. As far as the protagonist side goes, well, we have Spider-Man dealing with the fallout of whatever the heck happened at the beginning of this run. Mary Jane is annoying to say the least, and the X-Men are, well, they're the X-Men. I mean, it's not too much that changes with them. But as of right now, we do know that Venom is in this, and something has happened to Dylan, which has caused Madeline to reach out to him as well. More on that when we actually get to that story. And we know that Black Cat is a part of this as well. I might cover her side story as well, considering the fact that Mary Jane is in it, and it has like a really important moment for Mary Jane in it, but it also contains one of the dumbest Mary Jane moments ever. Marvel, seriously, stop messing up these characters. Anyway, that's a quick recap on what has happened thus far in this storyline. I'll be covering the Dark Web series as it comes, so stay tuned for that. If you liked the video, make sure you hit a like. Give me a comment to let me know what you think about everything leading up to this story so far. And remember, we have the high ground. Thanks for watching.